Hi, everyone. Our guest today is Elena Brouwer, and she is an etiquette and protocol expert, and she's the director of the International Etiquette Center. Along with her team, she offers training seminars on business and dining manners, personal and professional image, international protocol, and customer service. And because she is bilingual, she's sought after internationally as a speaker, educator, and presenter. Now, the interesting thing about Elena is that she grew up in a diplomatic family in the U.S. with an ancestry of Chinese, Spanish, Irish, and Jewish. She has firsthand experience about all these different cultures, and she observes the do's and don'ts of international manners and brings her expertise to audiences worldwide. She's written for a number of publications and is the go-to person for the media for anything related to international customer service and protocol. Welcome, Elena.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's hard to believe in this day and age that we need someone to help us with etiquette. But again, in this day and age, I understand why we need someone to help us with etiquette. So why don't you start by telling us who your ideal client is?
The ideal client is someone from a small company or a large company who is having a problem. That problem is usually related to employees not doing the proper things, whether it's on the phone, when they write an email, face-to-face clients. A number of different issues arise where the bosses are not happy and the clients are not happy. That's when they call me in.
So you help them. I know that in many times when I've worked with HR people in my kind of other life, when I was doing a lot of consulting work, people would bring me in. There was a lot of misunderstandings because people read body language wrong. People, said something that somebody took the wrong way. And when I went in there and I saw what was going on, I thought to myself, this is really so easy to solve if people would be rational about it. What is the thing that you find when you are dealing with your clients, Elena, that is the major problem you're brought in to handle?
Let me give you some examples. I worked with a private bank. One of the receptionists would answer the phone when a client was calling, but at the same time, she would hold the conversation with the person next to her right there at the office. And sometimes the client didn't know if she was speaking to her or to somebody else. I had at the same place, this private bank, a female banker who dressed too sexy. She looked like she was going clubbing instead of going to a bank. She got into serious trouble because a client came on to her and then she got highly offended. And the client said, what you're showing me is that you're more interested in having fun than doing something with my money. For that particular industry, that particular bank, not only did I train everybody there at different levels depending on what they needed, I also wrote a handbook. And Gail, this is something that many companies do not have. And it's guidelines for people when they start working so they would know what is expected of the company, what is the policy, not just as to what time you're supposed to come in and leave, but the dress code, the way to express yourself, and so on. So I do a lot of that.
That's interesting, Elena, because first of all, you would think that everybody would have some kind of a a manual, let's put it like that. And that manual that employees would get so they would know what to do, what's expected of them, how to handle themselves, and so forth. I will tell you that I am amazed in this day and age how people dress to go to work. Now, it's one thing, if you're working in a creative atmosphere, you're, let's say, a graphic designer, or you're a technology person or something, maybe they're a little more casual, and that's fine. But there's still, I agree, a limit as to what's proper and what's not proper. And I don't even remember where I was the other day. And I was out in California, actually. And this was not a business situation. It was just an everyday day. And there were these two women, I would say mid-30s, somewhere like that, crossing a street. One had a skirt on, a dress that was so short, I thought, really, that's too short to be walking in the middle of the day across the street. And then her companion, another woman, had on a tank top that was so low, and she was very well endowed. And I thought to myself, she's just asking for it. And both of them seemed perfectly happy, just kind of bouncing across the street. And I find that people who shouldn't be wearing midriffs wear midriffs. People who have bad legs show their legs. I'm not a prude by any means. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not. But I think there is a proper way to dress and a proper way not to dress. So if you were saying there are 3 mistakes business women make in business, one of them is, I know, dressing. So what would you advise business women to do in terms of dressing?
I find, and I agree with you, that women sometimes dress too sexy, and they don't even wear outfits that are of good quality. Unfortunately, some people think that buying more outfits, very cheap, that fall apart right away, is the way to go. And that is a big mistake. If you find classy looking women in business, you see that they have well-tailored things. It doesn't have to necessarily be a suit, but it's got to fit their bodies. And so dressing is important because at the same time you are projecting what your company stands for. When I see somebody like the way you described, and I find out that they work for a law firm, I would say, I just lost a little bit of respect for that law firm. Because
so basically, you're even saying, even when I'm out at a leisure activity, I still represent a company that I'm working for.
Exactly. And
I don't think most people think about that,
No, they don't. And we are at the age of, this is me, and you have to take me as I am. And some companies will not go for that. We have men and women with a lot of tattoos, ear piercings. And I'll tell you a story. It's a true story because it happened to my daughter. My daughter was going to law school upstate in New York, and she came home for the summer. She wanted to do a summer job. I took her to a law firm where I knew some people. Well, my daughter had decided before coming down that she wanted a nose ring. She told me about it, and I said, you know what? It's your life. Do whatever you think is best for you, but we'll see how it plays. Well, took her to the law firm. They interviewed her, and the managing director came up to me and said, your daughter is so talented and so bright, but I would never hire her because we don't allow nose rings in here. That was such an eye-opening thing for my daughter. From there, she took it off, never to be seen again. That nose ring went in the garbage because you cannot tell people how they should run their companies. They're the ones who tell you how they expect you to dress and to behave.
Well, see, that's what I think people don't understand is that, you do have to, I have the right as a business owner to say who I want in the business, how I want them to look, what I want them to do, and what their responsibilities are. And people don't acknowledge that at all, So um, I would also say now you mentioned also in the three mistakes that networking is another mistake. So tell us a little bit about that because that's a phrase that everybody knows. Oh, we have to network more.
Well, networking is really a great way to get to know people and for people to know you. But most folks don't go in there prepared. For one thing, obviously, the way they dress. I have seen some women, again, um, being dressed like they're going on a date instead of trying to drum up business for themselves or for their companies. The one thing that I find highly offensive when I go to a networking event and I start working with somebody, I mean, not working, speaking with someone, is when we are going to do a business card exchange and they tell me, oh, I don't have any business cards with me. In my way of looking at it is, why did you come to a networking event if you don't have any business cards with you? I had someone who was new in town and she engaged me in conversation. She was really very interested in getting to know people because she was so new and so on, needed to make those contacts. And when I asked for her business card, she said, oh, no, I haven't printed any business cards, but don't worry, let me get a napkin. She took a napkin and wrote her information. Well, you know where that napkin went when I left that place. I don't trust somebody
Oh,
who
yeah.
doesn't even
Oh,
bother
yeah.
to print a few business cards, which are really so inexpensive. So networking, that's one of the things that really, really, really bothers me. And also talking too much about themselves. The more you talk, the less you are listening. So you don't learn anything about the other person.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's true. We always say that people love to talk about themselves, so ask people the right questions, and you're going to find out a lot about them. So that's very very true. The other thing, which I find is very interesting, I think, is some people think they shouldn't have business cards. That if they get somebody else's card, that they're going to get back to them through email or something like that. And so they're advised not to have any business cards, which I always found really amazing. But there are a lot of people that are like that. So, what is your feeling about that?
Well, are you saying that they think that not having a business card is going to protect them from those people contacting them?
No, they just feel that. Well, I think they think it contributes to the mystique, that it gives them more control, that that kind of thing.
Well, I don't agree with that. I think that
Well, I don't either. I just wonder. I just thought
yeah,
it was so amazing that I just had to get your I just had to get your feeling from it because I just thought this is crazy, crazy. My gosh.
well,
So I guess yeah. Go ahead.
when I get a business card from a networking event, not only is it going to go into a special place where I need to remember myself, make some notes on my contact management, but also I write something on the back of the card because sometimes you may not remember that that person is having a wedding anniversary in 2 weeks or something like that, or she is just crazy and I don't want to get in touch with her. Anything that would trigger something, remembering something about that person. And if you don't have a business card, how are you going to do that? I mean, the whole idea of networking is to be able to then, if you see that the person you're speaking with is a good fit, that you will be able to just exchange information by email. Maybe you have an event that you want to invite them to attend in the near future, or and vice versa. But if you want to be so private about it, then I don't think that you should be attending networking events.
Well, I agree with you totally. So I just wanted to hear what you had to say. Um, so, um, and then the other one you list as a mistake businesswomen make is the cell phone.
Oh, cell phones, they drive me crazy. Some people think that if they don't have that cell phone next to them, the world's coming to an end. And in business, as you know, it's always the person in front of you who is the most important one. If you and I are talking, first of all, I shouldn't even have my phone on. And secondly, if for some reason you need to have it on, and it's very, very important that you have to take that call, you need to apologize to the person, move away, answer the phone, and keep it very brief. But that is really on the extreme case, because truly, how many phone calls do you get that you have to answer right away?
Well, that's true. I mean, it's very interesting because there's always, of course, two thoughts on this. One is every client, every phone call I get is a client because some people have a cell phone, just for business, and I must talk to them. And I had a friend like that, and he answered, and he was busy, and he made a lot of money. But I will say, if you have the right message on your phone, and it says, I'm in an important meeting right now. Please leave your number and name, and I will call you back just as soon as I'm free. And they know they will get a call back because there are people who don't ever call you back. That's important, and I do call people back, even if I have no use for their service, and I tell them I'm going to call them back. I call them back and I say I just don't need your service, but I don't want them calling me again, so I let them know. But I'm polite about it. So I agree with you. And the main thing is you can have a cell phone with you, but at least have it on silent. And especially when you go into meetings, have it on silent. If it buzzes and you look at it and it is an emergency, because I, for example, belong to some business networking groups, and there are people in there like electricians and plumbers and so forth. And when they get a call, they need to take it. And so, but put it on silent. Don't have it ringing, which is the important thing. So let's talk about
Yeah.
you, though, Elena. What makes you an etiquette expert? Let's find out a little bit about Elena.
Well, the fact that I grew up in a family of a lot of people who were diplomats, it kind of grew on me that it's important for people to have good manners, because for one thing, having good manners really makes good business. And from the time, I remember in high school, the teachers asking me how to do certain things. I remember in French class, the teacher asked me to set a table because the students had never been taught how to set a table with the silverware in the right place and so on. It's something so simple, but a lot of people don't know. Never mind how to set the table, how to use the utensils. And that's one of the things that we do, is to teach dining workshops. My certifications are from all over the world. I got it from the Protocol School of Washington. I have intensive protocol training from Spain, France, Italy, the UK, and many other certificates from here. I'm also certified as an image consultant. I am the president of the Florida chapter of the Association for International Image Consultants. And so I've always liked everything related to having people be more successful. I love what I do. I've been doing it for more than 20 years. Every time I'm going to do a workshop for a company, it's always going to be customized because my clientele is so vast. One day I'm working with a medical group, the next day I'm working with attorneys, and the day after that I'm working with people in Washington. And so it's something that I really and truly enjoy, and I get a lot of satisfaction when I see that people improve their manners.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, I have to tell you a funny story, though. Of course, I taught etiquette as part of my modeling curriculum, my charm school curriculum, many years back. And it's, but again, I had a pretty good upbringing. So my parents were, you know, but today, Elena, people don't sit down together at dinner anymore either. So that has a lot to do with not knowing where things go at a table. But on the other hand, if you dine out at all, it should give you an indication. But do you know that in every business dinner or luncheon I have ever gone to, now I'm saying every single one, somebody uses the wrong bread plate and somebody drinks the wrong glass of water. For some reason, they don't know that the bread and so forth goes to the left and the drinks go to the right. And these are not ignorant people. These are people who are sophisticated and they've been in business, but they literally do not know about what to do with their salads and which fork to use, or their drink, where it's right or left. And I just, it amazes me. And it happens. And when I'm at a table, like you go to these luncheons and you're at a table for, let's say, 6 or 8, somebody always starts with the wrong one. And then everybody's kind of screwed up after that. So I just think that's amazing. Anyway, we're coming up to the end of our first part of the show for you. And I just want to make sure everybody gets, before we go on to the next part, your website, which is Etiquette Center. And etiquette is spelled ETIQUETTE, and center is spelled CENTRE, which is the British way of spelling, and it's not CENTER, it's CENTRE.com. So if you want to get a hold of Elena's website, that's what it is, etiquettecenter.com. So we're going to be back in just a little while, and I'm going to talk to Elena more about having a female boss, what happens when you have rude behavior in the workplace, all the kinds of things that everybody, you know, seems to want to know and has questions about. We're going to find out from Elena. And of course, I'm fascinated, Elena, by the fact that you've got in your background Chinese, Spanish, Irish, and Jewish. That is a real crazy combination. And I have to tell you about the time I went to Colombia chaperoning Miss USA. We went to a Chinese restaurant. My escort talked to the Chinese waiter in Spanish. That Chinese waiter talked to the other Chinese waiter in Chinese, and that Chinese waiter spoke to me in English. And that was quite a dinner, I can tell you that. But anyway, folks, hold on, and we'll be back with Elena in just a minute.